So today I want to talk about functions, and there's a whole lot to say about functions, but today I want to talk about just one small thing, which is how we can test to see if a graph is a function. So let's start by talking about what a function is. So a function is a relation where for every input there is one and only one output. So x is always our input, or usually our input, and y is our output. So when we have a function, there's only one x, or there's only one y value. There's only one output for every input. So every time you have an input, so if your input is -1, there's one output. Input is -2, one output. Input is 3.76, there's one output for that, whatever it happens to be. So we can actually test for that by using a test called the vertical line test if we have the function already on a graph. So let's take an example. I'm going to use a circle. So a circle is a relation, but I don't know if it's a function or not. So I want to see, is there a place where one input has more than one output? So remember that the inputs are the x values and the outputs are the y values. So is there a place where one x value has more than one y value? So let's go ahead and take a vertical line here. And I want to look at this vertical line. Is there a place where one x value has more than one y value? Or another way of saying that, is there a place where this line crosses the graph in more than one place at the same time? The answer is yes, right? Right here and right there are good examples of a place where this line crosses the graph at two places at once. So in this case, this circle fails the vertical line test. Because the graph crosses, the line crosses the graph in more than one place at one time, which means that this x value, which is like -3, it has two outputs instead of one. So -3 has this output, which is like -3, and it also has this output, which is 8. So -3 has two outputs, -3 and 8, and that's not okay. So this fails the vertical line test, and that tells us that it is not a function. So this circle is not a function because it fails the vertical line test. So let's look at another example. Let me clear off this graph a little bit here. So let's look at another example in just a minute here. I'm not going to be able to quite erase this all the way, but it should be good enough. All right, so let's look at another example. Let's look at this function. So I'm going to go ahead again and take my vertical line and I'm going to pass it through this graph. So every time I pass it through the graph, I'm looking out for a spot where it crosses in more than one place at once. And so far, I'm not seeing anything. There's a place here where it looks like it's a little bit close, but it does seem to cross at just one place at once. So as we cross, we're only crossing in one place at a time. So this is a function because it passes the vertical line test. So this passes the vertical line test. And that tells us that it is a function.